Hey guys, sorry I haven't made a video in a couple weeks. I hope this makes up for it. Been enjoying some time with Mrs. Darkness. Mrs. Darkness, what did you think of the Forever Purge? Alright guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness and welcome to my review for The Forever Purge. This one came out in 2021. It is starring Ana de la Reguera, Tenoch Huerta, and Josh Lucas and was directed by Everardo Vallejo Gaut. Apologies for any mispronunciations there. What I will not apologize for, however, is my opinion on this movie. As you saw in the intro, yes, I did watch this one with Mrs. Darkness, and no, she was not a fan at all. And while my opinion is a little more lenient, not by much. I don't think this is a terrible movie. I don't think this is a god-awful, irredeemable piece of shit or anything like that. To me, the biggest sin of this movie is that it's just forgettable. There's just not a lot here. And that sucks, because, you know, like I say, I had seen all of these filmed at least one time. Well, with the exception of this one. I had never seen this prior to my viewing for the review. And I was really hoping we'd get a solid one here, especially with that title, you know. I knew nothing. I knew nothing at all. I don't remember any trailers for this film, even though it only came out a couple years ago. Just not a lot of people talked about this one, and for having seen it, I understand why, unfortunately. But you see that title, you know, The Forever Purge, and you're like, ooh, what could that be, you know? I mean, we all saw how an election year, the Purge was basically ended with the election of Miss Blonde Lady, and I do not remember her name, but since she was elected president, the Purge was abolished. It was gone. It was banned. And I was really hoping maybe a group of like founding father loyalists just kind of built up their numbers over a couple years. And, you know, on the date that the Purge should be on, however many years later, they decide to have their own Purge. And at this point, they've, you know, had this militia. And like I had all these ideas in my head, like, wow, this could be really cool and really unique for this series. And what it ended up being was, you know, you have the Purge in this film, which, you know, you have the whole, you know, this is the annual Purge and yada, 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 since it was brought back, since the founding fathers are just back now. They got back in office, whatever. So I guess it's just that easy to bring it back. So you do have the actual Purge in this film, and it lasts, I would say, 10 minutes, 10, 15-ish, somewhere around there, maybe a little less, I don't know. But it's virtually nothing. You know, the whole event that this film series is based around is reduced to 10 or 15 minutes. And then by the end of it, you know, basically you know, everyone's relieved. Oh, it's over. You know, we've made it through the 12 hours. And just a group of people around the country are just like, nah, I don't feel like it being over. And then they just keep causing a bunch of mayhem and shit. And it's like, I don't know, it's not a horrible idea, but it's just, I think just bringing back the founding fathers and just doing the same, I think it's just lazy. I think there's so many cooler things you could have done with this, and you just took the most boring option, which sucks. And it's especially tragic in this case because I really like the setting that this one is in. You know, we're in Texas now. It's a lot more of a drier, sandier landscape here, and you could have a lot of fun with that. And it's just, there's just nothing really unique feeling about this one at all, and that setting just basically goes to waste. You know, it's very just, again, just forgettable. And I'm sorry if this review isn't very spicy, but I don't really have a lot to say about this one, because I would think the review would reflect on the film itself. It's just very forgettable. Another thing that I found funny about this film is the fact that, you know, every Purge film takes a stab at, you know, social commentary or political commentary or whatever you want to call it. And this one's no exception. Obviously, since we are in Texas, the main source of that commentary is people immigrating from from Mexico to the United States. And again, I think that can cause for some interesting story beats. And, obviously it's there. You have one of the guys, this white guy, he's not super duper racist, but it's more of that kind of like casual covered up racism, which is just as bad. And I appreciate that they did, depict it like that instead of just having it always be this cartoony racist villain, which, trust me, that's in the movie too. But this guy, I do like that they kind of took it a different kind of stab at it and depicted a different form of racism. But again, there's just, it has legs to be compelling, and this guy is one of the main heroes of the movie. So you're like, okay, he's going to go on some redemption arc, and he's going to figure out that, no, this is not the right mindset to have, and, what have you. And he really doesn't. Like, there's nothing in the movie that really spurs him to, get away from his bullshit beliefs. He's kind enough to help out the group in this movie, but there's no real moment of him genuinely apologizing to this man for being just basically a fucking racist dickhead. There's just nothing like that here. So you're supposed to root for this guy, even though he's learned nothing, apparently. So, whatever, I guess. And speaking of characters, it is very hit and miss. I do think the main couple in the movie, the two who immigrated from Mexico, I think it was supposed to be a couple years ago, immigrated from Mexico to the United States. I think they're pretty enjoyable for our main protagonist. I think they do a pretty solid job. I was trying to point out the woman, and she's a badass motherfucker in this movie, dude. She's taking people out. It's revealed later on that she was I forget the term she used, but she was basically someone who trained to fight the cartel, since the cartel has been awful in Mexico for years and years and years. She was trained to basically be not a freedom fighter, but just someone that kill fucking dickheads who are peddling drugs and killing people, pretty much. And yeah, she does a lot of that in this movie, and I think she's a really fun character. But I was trying to point out the actress, Ana de la Reguera. I was trying to point her out because I recognized her so much, and I was like, God, where do I know her from? And it's the nun from Nacho Libre. I was like, I looked her up. I'm like, holy shit, that's where I know her from. So it was cool. I think she did a really good job here. And the gentleman as well, Tena Huerta, also did a really solid job. And I really enjoyed his character as well. And I think across the board, everyone does decent with what they have. It's definitely not like an election year level of bad as far as like dialogue or anything like that. And I think the men and women who are performing in the movie do a perfectly serviceable job. There are some moments where it was like, ugh, God, yeah, that was a little stiff. But other than that, I think everyone does a good job. It's just the characters that they're given. I don't think they're really given a whole lot to work with, You look at the cover star of the movie, the guy who's on all the posters and all the promotional material. There's just a random insert of people, this group of killer cowboys, essentially, who are angry at their boss because, they're so poor and, their boss is rich, and it's just this randomly inserted, just a little more social commentary when we're already exploring, casual racism and all that stuff. Let's just put in a little bit of class-based social commentary as well. And, it has its moment. The Cowboys look cool and everything. Like, that's rad. And then the main one and a couple others are killed off, the other ones run off, and you just don't get anything else with them. And it kind of continues the trend of these movies that I notice. If you look at all the promotional material for these Purge films, besides the first one, the main people that are on the posters and basically are used to sell the movie are barely a factor in the movie at all. And it's so stupid. And it sucks because a lot of these character designs in all these movies look cool. This one's no exception. And then when push comes to shove, those are not the main villains of the movie at all. Like I said, it's just a very quick blink and you miss it thing that's used to kill off a very important character in the film. And that's all you get. So that really sucked. I hated seeing that. Instead, for villains, we get just these... and we get them like halfway through the movie. They all of a sudden pop up. And, I could give you a full, plot rundown. Well, really, I couldn't. Because like I said, man, there's just not a lot to take away from this one. But you do get these just overtly, cartoonishly racist villains that are the main antagonists of the movie. And I just described their entire character right there. There's just really not a lot to write home about when it comes to these guys. There's nothing compelling about them. They are just cartoony bad guys. And, that can work. And again, I don't mind, having some controversial subject matter in your movie as long as it's explored well and it packs a punch. And this just doesn't. they're villains. And even, if you're looking at the Purge series as a whole, like, each one of them has had that social commentary, and this one utilizes their subject matter the worst. It's just, at least the other ones had, it packed some sort of a punch in some way. Even election year, which I did not like at all. They all mainly focused on classism and stuff like that, racism as well in certain ones. And I think but for the most part, was tackled pretty well. And in this one, there's just it's not even a matter of it being distasteful or anything like that. It's just boring, and it goes nowhere. And it's disappointing, And speaking of things that just totally bewilder me about this one, each Purge movie has like a destination. Each one has its own, we gotta get here, and we gotta go through all this crazy shit to get here. You know what I mean? And in this one, obviously, like I said, the actual purge, the legal purge ends, and just people around the country are like, nope, fuck that, we want to keep going. And they just keep going. And so it's announced that Canada and Mexico are opening up their borders, which I guess is supposed to kind of show as like now the shoes on Americans' foot, and now they're the ones who are wanting to go to another country for safety and refuge, and I get it, that's what it's intended to be, but Canada and Mexico open their borders, and they're going to be open for 6 hours. For people who, want to get to safety while, the country is in, ruins. And that's all well and good. What about the people in the middle of the country who damn well are not going to be able to get to either border within the time frame? There's just no fucking way. So I guess it's just fuck them. Oh well, sorry. Man, I live in St. Louis, dude. If this was me, I'd be fucked. Like, I'd be screwed, It's just... I get it. And again, I get they're trying to, kind of allude to what's going on now with people wanting to come to the United States from their respective homelands and countries. But it's just cheap. And it just doesn't make any sense. And man, this one was just not for me, and as far as the ending is concerned, it's just as bland as the rest of this movie. Fuck. It just... obviously with each Purge film, the Purge ends, and so the movie ends. And with this one, it's just they kill off the last, cartoonishly racist bad guy, and then the movie just kind of ends. And it's like, oh, okay, and I guess we're supposed to believe now that, the whole country is just in purge mode 24/7, I guess, now, and fucking, I'm assuming this is supposed to lead into the Purge television series, which, no, I'm not going to watch it, at least not anytime soon, but I imagine that's what this film kind of intended with its ending, and if that's the case, then this whole thing's just an ad for the TV show. So great, I just wasted fucking an hour and 43 minutes of my life. Thanks, man. Yeah, as you guys can tell, I was not a fan of this one at all, and I could, sit here and just go over the little problems that I have, and it's just, yeah, if you guys are wanting to run through these films, just skip this one. It's just not worth your time. I don't think it's, like I said, I think it's for the most part a competently made movie, and that's really all I can say about it. It's shot well, for the most part. That's like my main compliment. There's just not a lot going on here, and that sucks. If you're a big Forever Purge fan, I apologize, but this just was not for me at all. Don't expect to see this one anywhere at the top of the list when it comes time to rank these. That'll do it for the review portion of this video. But you know what we gotta do now, baby? We gotta get into the blood, the guts, and the gory bits. We gotta get into my kill the film. Stick around. The Forever Purge shares, the very same flaw that a lot of these Purge films, deal with. And a lot of those other Purge films are good movies. This one isn't really a good movie. So it's just one more thing for me to bitch about, right? And that is the complete lack of any real visible gore. This one does try in certain areas, but for the most part, it's, again, just a lot of bang bang, shoot 'em up, people dying, and I get it, this is not supposed to be a gore fest or anything like that, but as I always say, in a film like this that's pretty devoid of anything else entertaining, it helps to be a blood and gore fest every now and then, and this one just has nothing for me. They all blur together very, very hard, and towards the end, we get some more brutality, we get a good throat slash, and we get a guy getting his eyes gouged out. You barely see it, but it's there, and that's really it. I'm going to personally give my kill of the film to the weird bunny rabbit looking motherfucker who ends up, they trap the main chick. They trap her in this, cage thing. They have this goat that she tries to rescue, and it fucking backfires on her and just pins her to this cage, and there's this slow descending, it reminded me a lot of that fucking thing, not a nail gun, but that thing they use to kill cows on the farm. It's like something like that, and it's just slowly descending down on her. It looks like a fucking saw trap almost. But, she does end up getting rescued by her boss at the place she works, which, fun fact, there's one point in this movie, I'm totally sidetracking here, just because this is not going to be a very long kill the film section at all, but there is a part in this film where the boss says, I got to get back to my family, go on without me, and we just never see him again. And he's a pretty important character for the time he's on screen, and he just goes away, and we just don't see anything from him at all. And it's like, okay, fucking whatever, I guess. But anyway, he does end up saving her, and they reverse this fucking trap on one of the killer bunny men, And the thing does end up going right into his fucking eye and just spikes him right through his fucking head. So that was cool. I mean, it's like finding a green Jolly Rancher in a fucking vat of just little rocks of plutonium. You know, you found it, great, but whatever. You know, I mean, is it worth it? I'm not sure. But anyway, man, that'll do it for the Forever Purge. Can you tell how much I just loved this movie? Which, I mean, yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is, man. And that'll do it for the Purge review series. And yeah, man, as always, guys, thank you for stopping by the channel. Thank you for supporting the dream. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And for the love of all things gory, keep watching horror. Alright, guys. Have a good day.